My views on how to manage complications of wrist arthroscopy, which I love to do. I have no disclosure. All right, so we've come a long way from the 70s when this wrist arthroscopy was first started out by Watanabe and Chen, popularized in 86 by Whipple and Paling. Still the gold standard for diagnosis of joint-related problems such as TFCC and carpal ligaments. Over the advanced imaging nowadays, even the MRIs. And we are stretching the indications from diagnostic when we first started to now therapeutics as some even the standard treatment of choice for certain risk conditions. And scopes are getting smaller, 2.7 to 2.4 and now 1.9 millimeters as a standard. So we have all this armamentarium providing good visualization and magnifying imaging, small enough to negotiate tight spaces, it's rigid and stable. Most of the time it's a 30-degree scope, so it allows you to then have a 360-degree view. When you rotate the scope, you can see all the different angles and also to help you to visualize some corners of the wrist, which may be difficult to visualize using just a 0 degrees or even under naked eye. All right, so what's the rationale for us using the wrist scope? It enables pathology of the joint to be clearly visualized, precisely assessed and accurately diagnosed. And there's less surgical trauma, preservation of blood supply to the joint capsule, minimal disruption to extrinsic ligaments, and better aesthetics and faster healing. But it is still a skill that has to be learned. Proper techniques in handling both the scopes as well as instrumentation of devices and equipment. There's a long learning curve. You need to have good mentors and learn from the expert. So keep practicing. And of course, adopting the fundamental principles of arthroscopy. For those of you who have done knee and shoulder arthroscopy, now you are trying to deal with a wrist joint which is even smaller in size. So if you don't adhere to what I've just said, it can become a potential disaster of epic proportions. What do I mean by that? If you look at this cadaver, which we have analyzed from a wrist arthroscopy course that was done, and these are all the traumas that you can anticipate if you are not properly taught or you are just a novice doing this thing on a live patient. So you get multiple divots within the joint surface, the articular surface. You can get potential damage to the cartilage, which can be irreversible. You get lacerations of the surrounding structures, of which the extensor tendons are most commonly injured if you don't know where to place your wrist arthroscope or you do the incision using a sharp dissection rather than blunt dissection. Of course, you can also lacerate the cutaneous nerve. In this particular case, the dorsal cutaneous branch of the ulnar nerve, where it is associated with 6U or 6R portal. These are important things to note, and the potential for the damage to the nerve can be devastating. Okay, so what are the complications of the wrist arthroscopy? The incidence, and based on experience and competency, is around 1.2 to 7.9%. So there's varying degrees of incidence of complications. You can see all these papers, they are quoted over time, right? So it's not surprising that certainly, you know, it's not a foolproof or not a fail-safe method of doing a wrist procedure. So how do we then manage these complications? First of all, we need to identify the potential complications and, of course, do our best to avoid it and to prevent it. If it happens, minimize the risk of complication, right? Complications will never reach zero. Certainly, we want to minimize as much as possible. Of course, if you identify the complication, please address it as soon as possible. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't know that the complication exists and you discharge the patient. Lo and behold, the patient appears to you in the clinic at the first visit post-op. Can be quite embarrassing and frustrating. And of course, once you have dealt with the complications, do learn from it so that you don't repeat the same mistake. So what are the different complications that we may anticipate? With those related to the arm positioning and traction, those related to portal creation and instrumentation, those that are specific to particular procedures, and of course, general complications. So with relation to the arm positioning and traction, it's important. Most of the time, we use the Chinese finger traps to hang the upper limb, right, in the upright position, so to allow us to apply the scopes, and we distract them. So these Chinese finger traps may actually cause fragile skin to peel, especially those elderly patients. So we tend to use nylon over metallic ones. So nowadays, most of them are in a nylon form. And if you put more fingers in the trap, you spread out the force of traction. Sometimes you only use 2 finger traction, but those traction force on the 2 fingers can actually be very much more compared if you distribute evenly among the 4 fingers. Elbow positioning, you must make sure that when you position the elbow, the ulnar nerve that is over the runs over the medial epicondyl, just behind the medial epicondyl, is protected. So put some padding on it so that when you do a traction, you don't, and also when you rest the forearm or in the arm, it doesn't cause a compression of the ulnar nerve. And traction, do not over distract. So usually no more than 10 to 15 pounds of traction, because otherwise you stretch out the nerves and sometimes can cause profound neurological symptoms post-operatively. Portal creations and instrumentation. The wrist is actually surrounded by soft tissue envelope which can be injured. So all the cutaneous nerve that you see, and even the posterior trousers nerve, if you're not careful at the 3-4 portal, sometimes you can hook the nerve and cause either traction neuropathy or sometimes even rupture. Okay, the extensor tendons, especially if you're doing the dorsal portals, so beware and be very careful. So make sure you mark out your tendons, right? The skin, especially I mentioned the fragile ones in the elderly, as well as the vessels. Sometimes you may actually injure the radial artery, 1-2 portal especially. Portal creations, sharp and forceful entry is to be avoided, so you have to use blunt dissection using the blunt trocar and gently enter the wrist joint through the capsule, so you minimize articular cartilage damage and also soft tissue damage. Procedure-related extravasation is a very common problem, so try to adopt dry arthroscopy. And of course, trauma to the varying structures have been reported, so if you identify them, quickly deal with it, address it, repair it if you can. All right, so if you use radio frequency, avoid excessive thermal burns by using the pulse mode and not the continuous mode. You don't want to cook the small joint, such as the wrist. All right, so these are important things you need to take note of. General, very low infection risk, no doubt. Equipment failure, also very low. CRPS has been reported, but it's also rare. So how to avoid? Have a thorough knowledge of the anatomy, right? Be taught how to handle and use the arthroscope and instrumentation properly. Proper technique of doing the scope, systematic and meticulous. Attend the course, be guided by experts, and of course, keep practicing. So in summary, complications of the wrist can be the following: relating to arm positioning, portal creation, and instrumentation, procedure-related and due to general causes. Important to be well-trained and skilled in performing to minimize this form of complications. Thank you.